CNG Media.
Welcome to Vino with Vito, Dave Taramina, and today our guest is Nick Carulli.
Hello, guys.
Nick,
What's up, Nick?
Nick Carulli is actually a homeowner that has multifamilies. We had a couple people ask, hey, why did you say you should live in one unit and then, and rent out the second unit if you want to invest in real estate? Well, Nick is going to talk about that today.
You're talking about like the multifamily.
The multifamilies,
Yeah.
right. And before we get started, Nick, I got a nice shirt for you, Vino with Vito.
Oh, yeah.
Please don't wear it in the Fairfield Park because the squirrels will come after you.
Thank you.
And as usual, guess what? Dave didn't bring any wine toine.
Good thing I brought 2 bottles.
Nick bought 2
Wow.
bottles of wine. One is a nice homemade bottle of wine, and one is a white wine because Nick can only drink white wine.
Oh, really?
There's only a few wines I can drink, otherwise they just repeat on me all day long.
Wow,
Even the
all right.
homemade stuff, so I don't even make it with my dad anymore.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but we got our nice Robert Graham sleeve. Check that out.
Is that a Robert Graham
Look
sleeve?
at that, Robert
Just
Graham.
show the camera? Look
Yeah,
at that.
look
That's
at that,
nice.
Robert Graham sleeve for our homemade wine here, and we're gonna keep it nice and warm because it's a little cold, which is nice. So I'll pour some wine, and we'll start talking a little bit. So, Nick, why did you buy first off a multifamily? And wanted to live in the first floor and then rent out the second floor. Was that your intentions? Just to get started in real estate to see how that.
Correct. I wanted to see, hey, is this something that's going to be for us? And if not, at least we're living there. And the mortgage was almost paid just from the rent, which is a nice help, especially with growing a family. We bought our first one in Caldwell about 7 years ago now. We live on the first floor. We rent out the second floor. It's a 1-bedroom. And then about 3 years ago, right before COVID really hit, we got the second 2-family, 8 houses down, which is
Perfect.
beautiful.
Thank you.
All your neighbors see me walking with the snowblower from my house all the way to the other one, cleaning the driveway and everything, and the sidewalks for them all the way there. And it's just, you really want to feel for what it's going to be like. I got into the trades myself. I went to school for heating and cooling and did heating and cooling, worked for a utility, for 4 years at both of those places before going out on my own, doing maintenances and repairs for everything from heating and cooling to major home appliances. And, I really got into the trades so that way if something breaks at a house, I could just fix it. I don't have to spend my entire profit margin on paying a plumber, paying somebody to fix an appliance or whatever.
Right. See, there you go, Dave. Everybody thinks, again, it's easy, but now something breaks. If you don't know how to fix it, you got to call somebody and hire somebody to do it. And now, like you said, there goes your profit.
Oh, yes.
And one question, who'd you buy those 2 houses from?
He was the, what was his name? The godfather, I believe, of North Jersey.
There you go. Salud.
Salud.
Salud, guys.
I remember we saw some
Got me on. That was had a little bit of a kick.
Yeah, this is good.
Wow, that's very good.
You made this, or your in-laws? Or
me and my
parents?
dad.
Oh,
Mostly my dad now because I can't drink it,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
I like it.
That wasn't. I like it a lot. I just wasn't expecting the kick on it. It got me good. Yeah. Wow, it's really good. So, how old were you when you bought your first home?
30.
Okay.
30.
So 30 years old. Wow, that's young.
Yeah, my wife and I, we came from a 1-bedroom condo in Lincoln Park to Caldwell to a 2-family house.
Oh, nice. I lived in Lincoln Park. Yeah.
And
nice
he was actually in the same complex you were.
Oh, you were in Pine Brook Village.
Yes.
Oh, nice. So was I. Yeah, that was my first place.
Nice.
Yeah, my wife and I. So just to kind of back you up, I'm sure you saw the episode, but maybe for people who haven't, we Vito and I did a show about changes in guidelines, right? If you live in the home, 2-family, you could put as little as 5% down now, which is awesome. Bet you wish you had that when.
Oh, yeah.
But, and then the conversation started going towards wealth creation and investing and, and since the beginning of time, real estate's always been a great investment, right? So that's kind of what, when Vito mentioned, getting you on, Nick, we were like, oh, that's awesome because, there's people out there who are either beginners, right, or experienced investors, contractors, whatever. So I kind of feel like that's what we should cover on here, V.
Absolutely. I mean, let's talk about, hey, you bought your first home. You started, with that, and now that got you to buy your second home, and now hopefully you're going to buy your third one, and so on and so on. And you started at a great age, 30 years old.
Young.
That's very young. Not too many people, do that. Which is awesome. And you mentioned like the second house that you bought. I remember the second house that you bought was a bank foreclosure.
Okay.
Right? You remember that?
Oh,
right?
yeah.
So it was a bank foreclosure, and the way the bank foreclosures, a lot of them work, is the bank owned the property. They actually went in and remodeled the property and everything, and we put an offer on it. We're in attorney review. I think at the time, I forget what the price was, but we're in attorney review. We actually gave them the price that they were asking. But the bank came back and said, okay, this is the deposit we want. I think it was what, 40, 50 grand or something?
They actually wanted like 90
grand. Right. A $90,000 non-refundable deposit.
Oh my God.
Just in case, something happened or it didn't go through or whatever. And Nick's like, what do you think? I know I'm getting a mortgage and everything, but I said, I wouldn't put 90 grand down.
No way.
And
Why does the bank want that though?
And because what ends up happening is whatever down payment you were putting, okay, whatever you put on the contract, they usually ask for that, the whole thing. But now they changed it too, where I'll get to that, where when we went back, we did it a different way. So we got out of attorney review. We said we don't want the house. And went under contract with somebody else again, fell through, came back on the market. Went under contract again, fell through, came back on the market. So I called Nick. I said, Nick, you know what? Let's offer him 30 grand less this time. Let's see where it goes. And instead of putting 90 grand as a deposit, we're only putting $1,000. Hey, what are you gonna do? We negotiated. He got the house for $30,000 less.
Nice.
Well, that was the third time that we finally closed on it because they were like, no, we want 10,000 deposit.
Right.
Nope, walking away.
Walking away again.
So then it went on the market twice again. And off because we're guessing the same stuff.
Yep.
And then the third time, I believe it was Labor Day weekend. I'm down the shore and Vito calls me. I'm on the beach and he's like, guess what's on the market again? I'm like, fantastic. At that point, I think they wanted, asking was $530. We were offering $480 at this point with $1,000 down.
Right.
So they come back. All right, $490 with $1,000 down. Beautiful, Vito.
Yeah, perfect.
We're done. So sometimes things work out in mysterious ways. You're buying a house, you think you're buying it, you lose out on it, and then it comes back to you. So it was meant to be.
What so let's we talked about the three different avenues we're going to talk about. Let's focus on first time investors, right? So it's hard, right? We live in North Jersey. Things are expensive. Inflation, while it's coming down, and hovering closer to where the Fed wants at 2%. Over the last couple of years, inflation's been high, right? So running at 8%, people don't have a lot of disposable income. What is your advice to somebody, whether they're 30 years old or 40 or 50, whatever, to getting involved in the real estate game, right? What's a bit of advice you could give the listeners?
So I tell everyone, and I always tell people, if you want to create independent financial freedom, real estate. That's where most people have gone, and that's how they got there. That is the best way I can tell people, and I tell them, live there. Buy the property, live there, because now you're living for free or close to free.
Yep.
So that way
because the rent is offsetting your mortgage payment.
Correct.
Right.
Our first property, 2-family, I think out of pocket every month we were about $500. That was for the whole mortgage after we collected the rent, which is great, especially for new homeowners, young families, and what have you. That goes a long, long way. And then, too, you're in the house, so you get to live there for a few years, feel what's going on, get the house to where you like it. And I always tell people, too, when you're looking at houses, even if you don't intend on living there, the 2-family, can you picture yourself there? Because if you can't picture yourself there because it's all run down, chances are not many people are going to want to rent that, and you're not going to get top dollar for it.
Right. That's a good point.
Now, have you had any, I guess first question is it weird living upstairs from your tenant? Because I know having tenants, they'll call you anytime, and which is your responsibility as a landlord. But when you live, on the first floor below them. Like you give like, oh, not home.
Hello, Nick, I know you're home. Come
I
out,
see,
come
like,
out.
shut the lights off. Nick's telling his wife.
Like, close the curtains.
Close the curtains.
Honestly, it's actually I find it's better just because anytime I have an empty apartment, we're going to be going through this now with Vito. I call Vito. He's my first call. Hey, I have this apartment. It's going to be empty on this date. So, Vito and, and the company does all the legwork for me. So for me, it's fantastic because they screen all the tenants, the possible tenants, background checks, all that stuff. So I get all that beforehand and I'll know if they're a good quality tenant or not. And then I meet them too. And usually you're not going to have somebody who's going to mess around when they know the owner lives right underneath them, on top of it. I've had no problems at the house we live in with tenants. The other house had some issues, but it comes with the territory.
Anything you could elaborate on, or are there like ongoing like legal cases?
Nothing legal, just drama with roommates, and one of the main things that we just finished about 6 months ago was 2 Christmases ago on Christmas Day, get a call from a tenant at 9:30 at night. I was forced to work all day too, doing heating work, and. Get the phone call. There's water all over the kitchen coming out of the dishwasher on the second floor. Nobody I can call. Luckily, I'm 8 houses down, so I run over there. Get upstairs. Water's all over the floor. I'm like,
On Christmas Day.
On Christmas Day,
Oh,
Christmas
my
night,
God.
9:30. So I'm like, let me go downstairs and turn the water off. I run into the basement. I open the door. It's raining in my basement.
Oh my God.
So I kill the main.
Yeah.
I started looking through all of our cameras and everything that we have on the outside, and I noticed the ejector pump was going. I could catch it in the corner in the street. Well, it was raining in my house for about 10 hours. From the second floor crawl space, a pipe separated at an elbow and just went through that crawl space into one of the first floor bedrooms, through that bedroom into the basement crawl space, out of the crawl space and into the basement.
Wow.
Yeah, so that was a lot of work, and me and a construction buddy did most of it.
It's easy being.
It's passive income.
And V, like as he's talking, right? Like, especially I'm assuming we're all Italian here, right?
Correct.
So yeah, so like it comes like with being Italian, like generations before. Before us, Vito's a little older, and so it's it was always it was almost a glorified, right? Buy house, but there's more to it, like a lot more, right? Like
While he was talking about that, what I was thinking about, I can't wait to see the water bill.
oh my
10
God,
hours of-
Yeah,
that's right. 10 hours of just raining.
Then remediation company came in, days worth of industrial size dehumidifiers and dryers, and that was an expensive electric bill as well.
Yeah, but you know what though? Like, and it's good that we're it's good that we're talking about this, right? Because it's not always roses, right? Yeah. But the reward, and V, you get into the numbers part of it. The reward far outweighs it with the equity appreciation and.
Oh yeah, think about it. He bought his first multifamily 7 years ago. That's gone up dramatically. He bought the second one in right before COVID, and we know what happened there. Mm-hmm. That's gone up dramatically too. Correct. Which is and you're collecting rent. You're getting an income every month.
Correct.
And now when the houses are paid off, again, he's 30 years old. He bought his first one. Yeah. So even if you get a 30-year mortgage, 23 years from now, he's going to have income coming in.
You'll be 60 years old. I mean, obviously there's instruments where you can pay off your mortgage sooner. But let's just say worst case scenario, 60 years old, you have free and clear home, big asset.
Two of them.
By that point,
two of them. Yeah. And your second home, your tenants basically paid for it. Not you, which is good. But it's still very important. Know what you're doing and know what you're getting into. Correct. Before you do that.
It's not all okay. I'm the landlord. Give me my check, and I'll see you next month on the first.
And I'm sure I hear horror stories where the people, I mailed the check out. Yeah, it's in the mail. Okay.
Yeah.
But. Hopefully, thank God now you have Venmo and Zelle and all that. Do that for me.
Exactly.
But in your situation, it's great because all you say is, "Hey, I'm walking down, have my check ready.
Exactly.
Can you talk a little bit about and Vito? Maybe you could talk about this, like what Nick mentioned, like screening the tenants, right? So like, what do you do like on that end? Because I'm on the mortgage end, so like I don't really see that part. I know you obviously have to run credit on a tenant, but like, what do you do like to make sure he's not getting like a psycho in his living upstairs as best as you can?
No, naturally, we actually meet the tenant there, show them the property. We have what's called an NTN report, that the tenant does fill out.
Okay.
And, they put all their information to make sure they're qualified. Yes, a lot of times we'll ask for their credit report. And sometimes you'll get a tenant that, it has a bad credit, but explain why they had bad credit. And you know what? Well, hey, Nick, this is the reason. You look at the NTN report, you look at everything, but their credit score is 600 or 550. Let them explain what happened, with their credit.
So what would you do? Like, I mean, on my end, on the mortgage end, it's pretty cut and dry, right? There's guidelines, there's credit score cutoff, with a little bit of wiggle room. So in that situation, let's say you have a tenant, right, and tenant comes, to you guys, okay, and they do have some credit challenges. You get a good enough story, right, that it makes sense, right? Whatever, life happens, right? What can you do to offset the risk for your landlord? Like, can you take is it legal to take an extra month's deposit? Because I always hear those stories like, oh, I'll take 6 months or I'll pay for rent for a year up front.
No, that you can't do. That's illegal to do. I mean, you can only take a month and a half security. That's it. Mm-hmm. And you can't say, hey, give me 1 year's rent and you can have the apartment or whatever. That you can't.
What if the tenant offers?
If the tenant offers, then naturally it's you need to talk to an attorney. Hey, can we do this? Maybe an attorney could suggest, hey, we can take the money and put it in escrow. That's something legal.
Held in an attorney trust account.
Held in an attorney trust account or whatever, and then you can get it every month. But you can't just say, here, give me $30,000 up front, and you know what? I'll see you later.
But I bet you that gets offered, right?
Oh, I'm sure it gets offered all
Nick's
the time.
like, I wish that happened to me.
I don't know, because that seems a little fishy there. It's okay, I want to rent. Here's 30. Wait,
here's 30 grand in cash.
What don't you want me to know?
No.
When the mic comes off, Nick's gonna I take that suitcase right.
But again, that's more of a legal question. But I'm sure it can be done. But advise an attorney, and probably that's what they would do. Put it in an escrow account or something. Go that way. My other question to you, Nick, is since you do have 2 multifamily homes and you live in one, have you ever thought about just buying a single family home and just keeping them as rental property?
100%. That's our next house. Our next house, I wanted another 2-family, and there have been multiple ones around my houses for sale within the past year. But with the prices where they're at and the condition, I've seen them, they're selling for $650, but it's a complete gut job. So I'm looking at them, I'm like, okay, so I got to buy this house for $700,000, $800,000 after all is said and done. How much do I have to charge for rent to even cover the mortgage? The way I look at it, and it's like, I don't want to just cover the mortgage and then have to always be doing work. It needs to pay off a little bit more. So I lost my train of thought.
Here, go, let the train come back in. So you know what? So as you're talking though, I'm thinking, right? So you're so I always laugh, right? I would be a terrible landlord. I can't fix anything, right?
Okay.
I'm a techie guy, but I can't fix anything. The hot water heater breaks, or I put in a sump pump,
okay.
in my house, and that was the extent. So you own, and we're gonna talk about it in a minute, but you own your own HVAC company.
Correct. Maintenance, HVAC, and major home appliances.
Right. So you are the epitome of who should be buying houses and even flipping houses and whatever, because you could do a lot of work on your own, because you were saying, V, before we started recording, the costs are high, right? If you don't know how to fix things,
forget it.
It starts to bleed into your profit, right? So what's your advice? I mean, it's pretty simple. If you're handy, the home run. Mm-hmm. What's your advice for people who are not handy? Besides get handy.
Get handy and have people and companies out there that you can trust. That that they're going to come in, they're going to do quality work, they're going to do what's needed, and not say, "Hey, it's going to be a $4,000 job because X, Y, and Z," when it's a $50 part that needs to be replaced.
Right.
I've seen that in in the HVAC industry where I'll go to somebody's house after another company and they're like, "Oh yeah, they said the problem was a thermostat. They charged me $400." I'm like.
Yeah.
For that on the wall, that's a $20 thermostat, So I would say just having somebody or multiple people or companies out there that you can trust that does quality work, and again, get handy as well.
And how do you position yourself with your company? What's the name of your company again?
So we're a proactive appliance maintenance. So what we do is we specialize in maintenance and repairs of heating and cooling, as well as major home appliances, from washers, dryers, dishwashers, ovens, stoves. Pretty much if it's in your house and it's a major home appliance, for the most part, we can work on it. And we offer maintenance packages as well to help people not have downtime. One of our famous ones is our laundry room maintenance, where we'll come in. It's a deep clean of the washer and the dryer. We test everything out, make sure everything's working properly. And if we find any issues with it, we bring it to the homeowner's attention and then offer the repair to it. And then the dryer, we completely take apart, lubricate everything. And I always tell people, either we can help you out beforehand and you don't have that downtime, or you can call us afterwards and we'll still come and help.
Yeah,
right. You're going to be down for days.
Downtime. Now, do you recommend sellers of a home to go and have everything checked out prior to them putting their house on the market?
I do. The reason being, before I had my own company, I would see it where. In Montclair, when I was at the utility down in New Brunswick area, people would just buy a house. It's the first season, they bought it. Oh, it was springtime. They turned the air conditioner on and nothing's working.
Yeah.
They had a home inspector come in. They said everything was fine. And one house I went to, there was no compressor in the condenser unit. And they said, "Oh no, the home inspector said everything was fine." I'm like, "There's no compressor." I'm like, "It's not even electrically hooked up." So I always tell people, get a company you can trust to look at it. They're not going to do the maintenance, but at least they can look at it versus, let me turn it on heat. Is it blowing out hot air? Okay, let me turn it on cold. Is it blowing out cold air? Which they don't even do if it's wintertime.
Yeah,
so now
they don't even check the air conditioning in the winter.
And I tell homeowners, I'm like, you can, this is months after, I'm like, you can try contacting your lawyer and see if there's anything. But
Right.
I mean, at this point,
or call that home inspector up and say, "You know what, get your butt down here." Hopefully it wasn't your brother.
Hopefully it wasn't my brother.
Yeah.
If my brother's listening, he's a home inspector. So
Okay.
Yeah. And he looks just like me. So hopefully people don't mistake me for him. How do you I love talking to people that are self-employed, right? Because we're all commissioned salespeople, so we're all self-employed, right? We generate our own business, build our own business. So how do you get your own business, right? How do you go out there and do you work with realtors like Vito? Do you work how are you out there? How are you getting business?
So it's primarily word of mouth, honestly. I worked with Vito. It's mostly once we get into a house and the customer sees what we're doing on any appliance, it's like, oh wow, we strive to give value to our customers. So for example, let's say a stove is down and out, For a company to come out, they're going to charge you anywhere from $100 and $150 just to walk in your door to look at it.
Right.
Well, we are, for that same amount, we're going to come out, we're going to do the diagnostic on it to tell you what's wrong with it, as well as do a maintenance on it for that same price. So now we give that value to the customer. So that way they're getting more, because I know how it is to be a homeowner too, and you don't want to feel like you're getting taken advantage of.
Right.
So it's primarily word of mouth and honestly just some light Facebook advertising.
Yep.
We're going to be doing a mailer in the different towns around the area. Fairfield coming soon. Advertising a little bit more, but.
Coming on shows like this,
Correct.
Hopefully everyone listens.
And I always get calls all the time. Hey, or you see on Facebook, I need a repairman for my washer. I need a repairman for my dryer, my stove. Things aren't made like they were made 30 years ago.
No, not at all.
Everything now is okay, throw it away, get a new one.
Right.
Correct.
But
It's true. You look
that.
at even stoves and stuff. Especially they used to last forever.
Refrigerators.
Refrigerators.
But I tell customers too, especially with the old stuff. Oh, I want to get rid of it's old. I'm like, why? They're like, well, I don't want to spend the money to fix it. I'm like, I had a customer the other day. They were debating whether or not to have us come out to fix it. It was most likely an issue with they needed a new igniter. So think of it as an oil change for a car.
Mm-hmm.
She's like, oh, but I don't want to spend the $200 to $300. I'm like, so you're going to spend $900 plus to buy a new stove?
Right.
And I'm like, they're not made as well. I'm like, we price ourselves so that way it's worth customers getting this stuff repaired.
Yeah.
And you can keep those appliances longer. Because I also come from a recycling background too prior to being in the trades.
Okay.
And electronics recycling. I think you remember that, e-cycle electronics. So I'm always like, hey, if we can keep this operational for minimal costs, why not instead of replacing it?
Yeah, no, I agree 100%. I really do, and I'm really happy that you came on the show to at least talk to people and let them know. I just want to get you back to your original train of thought in the beginning. So you are thinking about buying a single family home and keeping.
Correct. Yeah, we are going to be keeping both of the two families. I wanted to get a third one, but the wife said no. The next house is our forever home, which is fine. But she already knows. We already discussed it. That after that forever home, there's going to be 2 to 3 more two families down the road.
Yeah.
I like this guy. He's always thinking.
Yeah, because he's the guy that keeps us in business.
That's right. And Vito's going to be the guy I'm calling for all those houses.
Of course, you love him.
And if I could just say too, one of the many reasons why we would go with Vito again was I remember when we started looking for the first two family. We weren't sure what town we wanted to go in. We were looking Boonton. We liked the Boonton area, Montville, although they're very few and far between. And I remember going into some houses, and it was literally you would walk in, and you were talking about one of these where you walked in and the smell. And I remember us walking into a house in Boonton. We're just looking, and we're like, oh. We go into the basement where the basement was their kennel, so the dogs, this, and they wanted top dollar for this house.
Yeah.
And Vito would just, some house we would walk into and Vito would just turn around, just shake his head and be like, I'll be outside. Yeah. And it was, and we could trust Vito with that. He's not going to be like, well, I want you to buy a house from me. So this is the best house because this is the one we're in.
He's not pressuring you.
No, not at all. And he would tell me, he's told me, he's like, you don't want this house.
Yeah.
There's issues here I see. So whenever there's anything, we go to Vito, and I think you've even seen me tag you on posts where I need a realtor in the Fairfield area.
Yes.
Yeah.
Vito.
Well, that's good. At least, hey, I must be doing something right. I'm very, very happy you're saying that because you know what? It's true. You're making a big investment. It's not about the almighty dollar. It's about making everybody happy and giving you some quality service, number one, and giving you a home that you're going to live in and not worry about.
Correct.
So I really enjoy what I do because of that.
Yeah.
You're helping people out. It's not just, hey, you know what? I just made a commission check for $10,000. Let them worry about it now. What's wrong with the house? So.
Yep.
But no, I really, I'm really like what you're saying, and I really appreciate it.
He's getting emotional about it.
I'm getting emotional about it because it's something I really enjoy doing.
Maybe we should cut film.
Especially after that open heart surgery.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
I get very, very
20 years ago, Vito would not, number one, he would not be wearing that shirt. And number two, he would not be emotional. I mean, I gotta tell you, you're getting soft in your old age.
I'm getting soft in my old age.
My
Dave,
Lord.
what do you think of the shirt today?
It's probably the best one you've worn, to be honest with you. I mean, it's, I know we're going to talk a little bit about Robert Graham, but it is the best shirt you've worn. I'm not going to lie. I don't hate it.
It's nice.
Nick, what do you think of the shirt?
I like it. I like the shirts that you've been seeing you in.
You don't have to lie. You're the customer. Sometimes I have to lie because, he refers business to me. But you don't have to lie.
No, honestly, some of the shirts, I'm like, if I was still going out in the nightclubs, I'd be wearing those,
Look at
you're that video.
Boy, I'm going to a nightclub.
There we go. We're going to have DJs. Let's go.
Yeah, there you go.
And I'm going to a nightclub.
Yeah, except Vito. He didn't go to Studio 54.
No.
Okay, he went down the shore. When you were having kids already, he was down the shore. Believe me.
Well, Nick, I really appreciate you coming.
Thanks
Thank you for
having me.
saying all good things about me. I know we went off track a little bit, but I really appreciate coming.
That's
going
to be the name of the show, Off Track.
Off track. There you go. We go
Nice.
off track.
Nick, you know what? You are the epitome of the American dream, man.
That's
Thank
it.
you.
That's
You
it.
know what? Self-made. Get out there. take a risk. It's a big risk. That's what it's all about, man. It's
and
honestly, I
just-
wish more people were like you, man. It's
That's it.
inspiration.
Thank
Yep,
you.
yep.
Yeah.
Well, on that note, one day, and that day will come when you need to buy or sell a house. And when that day does come, you're going to call the godfather of Northern New Jersey real estate, Vito Cantuzzi.